Mega thread. Andrew Yang suspends 2020 presidential campaign. Andrew Yang plans to announce he is suspending his presidential campaign during a speech Tuesday night in New Hampshire. Two sources tell CNN it's the end to an upstart run that vaulted the businessman from obscurity to a Democratic contender backed by a devoted following known as the Yang Gang. Yang's decision will come a week after a disappointing finish in Iowa, where the campaign invested millions and spent 2 weeks on a bus tour leading up to the caucuses. The investment didn't pan out. Yang finished with just 1% support in Iowa and, after leaving the state with depleted resources, had to lay off staff as he looked to trim his campaign's costs. He did a lot better than anyone thought he would. Hopefully anyone who beats Trump will give him a place in their cabinet. UBI is an important concept that this country just isn't quite ready for yet. I think with automation, UBI will rapidly become an important issue that we must address. I am thankful to Yang for highlighting it. That said, we need to motivate people that things are actually gonna change, and I don't think he was ever going to be able to get there this year with this issue as his main focus. For center-left and left Americans, health care, climate change, and a few other issues just seem more urgent. Damn. This sucks even though I knew it was coming. I voted Bernie in 2016 and Yang had lots of the ideas that Bernie had, while bringing new ones to the table as well. Glad he got his voice out there, spread his ideals and got the conversation started about planning for automation rather than just reacting to it like we have been doing. Bernie, I am back and ready to get you in the White House where you belong. Unlike most candidates, Yang had a really genuine human approach to many of the issues America faces. His book is what really pushed me towards supporting his campaign. I hope he continues to promote his unique perspectives and have a chance to see some come to reality. That's too bad. I liked him. I didn't agree with all of his proposals, but he seemed like an earnest guy trying to do right. Get him in a cabinet position if the Dems win. He's a smart cookie. He had a great run and brought lots of great ideas to the race. I hope he gets a position somewhere. I'm sorry to see Andrew Yang dropped out. His optimism was contagious and his vision for the future of America was inspiring. He and his followers did not stoop to bullying and demeaning other candidates' followers, not did his followers hurl death threats to Democrats that advocated for other candidates. I have high hopes that we will see him in the future in some role in government. He ran an honorable and inspiring campaign. Hope to hear from Andrew Yang again. I'm glad Yang was involved. He made UBI a common concept in an era where it is going to be more and more relevant. Wonder if Bernie would pick him up for a cabinet position. I really hope that they make a Secretary of Technology and put Yang in that role. I'm tired of watching some of these guys not understand how technology works. We need Yang somewhere. As a Sanders supporter, I'd be calling for his appointment as Chief Technology Officer, Secretary of Treasury, or something. Respectable and innovative man. He wanted to bring automation and UBI to the forefront of discussion and I think he did that successfully. He deserves to be in the cabinet of anyone who wins. I like Yang. I think he should get a cabinet position if Bernie wins. But VP should be Nina Turner or potentially Warren if Bernie struggles to win the nomination. As a Sanders supporter, I welcome any of the Yang Gang into our tent. I feel like Yang was to 2020 what Sanders was to 2016. I want to see more about UBI and Yang's idea about publicly financed politics in our political discourse. I really, truly hope that Yang is part of the next administration. He would make an amazing tech czar and I could even see him in an advisory position. Stay strong, Yang Gang. He is one of the good guys and has a lot to offer us in the future. I'm gonna miss his presence in this election. PLS vote and consider that he may very well serve in a Democratic administration. Yang supported Puerto Rico statehood, and it was refreshing to hear a candidate openly do so. Thank you. RIP to my boy Yang. He might be suspended, but UBI and math are not. I really liked these policy ideas, and I hope we see a candidate pick them up alongside Yang's endorsement. I liked Yang. I felt like he was one of the few candidates that was above the typical partisan polls. I guess that's common for candidates that can't win. I believe Yang will have a good chance in the future. Sad to see him drop out. I hope Andrew will bless a worthy candidate with his math pen. He pushed UBI the same way Bernie did healthcare. Even if he didn't win a single delegate, he was successful in starting a convo that needs to happen. You did good, Andrew. You forced a lot of people to actually talk about the important issues of the 21st century, and UBI is no longer a ridiculous concept. Yang really surprised me throughout the process. Great ideas, and he seems incredibly personable. I hope his ideas carry into the next administration. America needs to see a lot more of Andrew Yang in the coming decade. I like Yang. He brought a unique perspective. I'd love to see him run for Congress or governor of NY. I'm a libertarian-leaning never-Trumper, and both me and my wife would have loved to have voted for him. He brought a ton to the table in the way of ideas and a forward outlook that all other politicians just completely lack. He wasn't derisive towards Trump voters or conservatives, and his diagnosis of how someone like Trump won is spot on. I didn't agree with all of his position, but I believe he is right about things that are to come. I've seen industries that you wouldn't expect to become automated do just that, pharmacy in particular. I would have loved to see him carry on, if not so late, just to keep his message out for the public to think about. Hopefully we see him again in a few years. He just seemed like such a genuine nice guy. I ran into Andrew today in Lebanon, NH. He was at a favorite lunch spot of mine grabbing a bite to eat with his team, I assume. Seemed like a nice guy, took pictures with a few people there. I didn't strike up a conversation, since he isn't my first choice. I hope he sticks around and campaigns for the eventual Democratic candidate. I think whoever wins the nomination should consider Yang as a running mate. Yang's policy proposals were on point. Yang is an incredibly smart and forward-thinking man with inclusive, thoughtful ideas that would have helped so many people. He also didn't alienate Trump supporters. He instead focused on solving America's problems. Without Yang, we're in a street fight. I've joined Bernie's camp and am ready. Man, it sucks. I think he definitely deserves a cabinet position. Otherwise, Sanders is my other choice, so I guess I'm feeling the burn tonight then. For those new voters currently feeling that sinking feeling of losing your candidate, take a deep breath. Don't feel pressured to choose a new camp immediately. Take some time away from the craziness and do something you enjoy. It's okay to feel unsure and lose hope sometimes. Politics can be stressful, and your well-being is more important. I wasn't fully in the Yang gang, but I really do like the guy. His interviews with H3 were dope, and I showed them to friends. I'm sad to see him go. He brought ideas to the table, got people talking about them, and those conversations are gonna be in the minds of people for a good while. Do not give up hope, Yang gang. If you get a progressive in there, I think there would be a spot for Yang in the administration. It would get him a chance to put some of his ideas into policy and get more name recognition. Don't give up hope, Yang Gang, you will be our future. Why does everyone want Yang as VP? Is everyone here aware that the VP doesn't actually do very much? They cast deciding votes in Senate ties, raise awareness, and wait for the president to die. Yang's skills are much better suited for a cabinet position, where he'll actually do something. He needs to run for Congress. I think he'd be great. Yang was a very human candidate and really brought the race to a better place. Yang Gang, man, bowing deeply. Thank you guys for a fresh set of energetic ideas. Thank you for deeply meaningful discourse in this Democratic primary. Thank you for class. You're the classiest set of young voters yet. And above all, thank you for caring. No one can say Yang supporters didn't bring it. I look forward to having you among our ranks with Warren, Sanders, Buttigieg, or Klobuchar. Welcome to the next round. Stay classy. I hope Yang runs for a Senate seat. If not, I can easily see him in a cabinet position. What are the chances of Bernie Yang 2020? Asking because I'm a naive, hopeful dummy. Whichever Democrat, hopefully, takes the White House needs to have a cabinet position with Yang's name on it. HUD or HHS could both use someone with some bold ideas like him. My bag is no longer secured. To all you in the Yang Gang, I know what it's like to be excited about a candidate and watch them be ignored, suppressed, and have to accept defeat. It's rough, and you have my sympathies. I hope that you find other candidates who you don't have to hold your nose to vote for, and maybe we'll get to see Congressman Yang one day. Talk about an incredible run. Easily the most technologically literate candidate. I hope he continues his political career. I hope a Bernie and or Warren win incorporates Yang. Bernie guy here. I liked Yang a lot, one of the few decent and genuinely human figures in politics. We will gladly welcome any of you to join the movement. Respect for dropping out and not milking it like some people. Very policy-focused campaign. We need more of that. I actually really like Yang. He had good intentions and a good platform. I respect the hell out of him and I hope he runs in the future or gets pulled in by another campaign. Good on Yang for bowing out gracefully. He got his message out, which is hard to do in the age of hack outlets like MSNBC and CNN trying to pick our candidates for us. Bittersweet day for the Yang Gang. I was mostly alternating between Yang and Warren for my number 2 pick, but I think Yang ran a great campaign, represented himself well and completed his main goal as I understood it, bringing UBI into the conversation and into our lexicon, and explaining why it isn't as outlandish as many would claim, and hopefully he did so before it ends up being too late. Regardless of what he decides to do, I look forward to seeing what he tackles next. Here's hoping he endorses Bernie. Make him vice president along with Bernie Sanders as president. I think would make an awesome team, to be honest. So we going Bernie now or what? I look forward to his future. We need more people like Andrew Yang getting involved in politics. I'm really sad, but so grateful for this common sense campaign which brought myself and many others into political awareness. All aboard the Bernie train now. F the DNC and F the ultra-rich siphoning off the economy. Yang needs to be in Bernie's cabinet somewhere. Rip Yang Gang. Was torn between him and Bernie. Guess it's time to feel the burn. Edit. Lol, I was already very much a Bernie fan. I was torn between who to vote for, but the path is clear now. My number 2 choice Hope he endorses Sanders. UBI's an important piece of the puzzle. He really won me over during the course of his campaign. Clearly a smart guy and brought several new ideas to the table. Should definitely be considered of a cabinet post in the next administration. RIP Yang Gang, hope he runs again. He has awesome ideas. You were a joy to have in the debates, and I hope your message is taken up by the rest of the party. Thank you for your participation, Andrew. I have a feeling Yang will be president someday, just not today it seems. Great voice for progressives. Thank you, Andrew Yang. We need people like Yang on the left, and I'm sorry he didn't last longer. I really like Yang. I hope he keeps contributing to the public discourse. RIP. He had a good run. I hope we see more of him in the future. It'll be interesting to see how his political career develops from here. He ran as an underdog remarkably well. At the very least he's made UBI a reasonable goal in people's minds. Whether or not his particular vision of UBI is the way to go, or the way things will end up, is something future politicians will have to figure out. But he's opened that door in a way people hadn't before. If he runs again, I think it'll be unlikely he'll end up so low in the rankings, particularly if he keeps advocating UBI between now and the next election he runs in, if he runs again. RIP to the only GOP candidate. I never had any plans to vote for him in the primary, but I do appreciate him introducing automation as an issue and UBI as a solution to public discourse. It might be something that will strike a chord in the coming decades. Like everyone else, I think he has the skills to be a cabinet member, or at the very least, he needs to be on any Democratic nominee's economic and labor councils. It wasn't the right time for him. I'm glad he ran so he could get his name and ideas out there, and I hope he becomes something big in politics. I had no plans to support Yang in the primaries, but this guy still has a bright future, and I honestly think he could start off small, maybe in a cabinet position. Secretary of Education would give him more experience in politics, and he'd be more of a household name for any future runs. Yang supporters should be happy with his performance overall. Anyone who actually thought he was going to win this primary was delusional, but he still made a name for himself in a super crowded field. That's something to be proud of. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to hear more of the best posts.